Welcome to a new video, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, I want to share with you how I take cayenne pepper when I consume it. I've put together a handful of videos on the health benefits of cayenne pepper here on my YouTube channel, and because of that, people have been asking me quite a bit to show them or tell them how I personally prepare my cayenne pepper when I consume it. There's so many different opinions about this on the web. Some of them are legitimate, some of them are dangerous, some of them are backwards, and I say dangerous because some people are recommending that you take really hot cayenne pepper powder in capsules. And if you're not used to taking cayenne pepper, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not built up a tolerance to this substance and you consume it like that, it can all unload in your gut at once and give you severe cramping and pain in your stomach. It can make you never want to touch it again. So capsules, ladies and gentlemen, put a barrier between you and the substance within the capsule. And cayenne pepper is really, really hot. So when you consume a capsule and it dissolves, the capsule walls dissolve and all that cayenne leaches out into your system all at once because you haven't mixed it with saliva, because you kind of haven't pre-digested it in your mouth. It gets delivered all at once, and it's not pre-digested. When you chew things, when you put them in your mouth, when you swish them around a little bit, you in a sense you kind of pre-digest it. And I do recommend that when you consume cayenne pepper as a tea, that's how I recommend it. I don't recommend taking it in capsules, but I do recommend sipping it really slowly if you have never done it before, and make sure to swish it around in your mouth a little bit. It's going to help it absorb into your system once you swallow it. So I've never recommended taking cayenne pepper in capsules. Many people who advocate cayenne pepper do. Based on the works of Dr. John Christopher and my own personal experiences, I do indeed believe that taking it as a tea in shots, or as a warm tea preferably, that's the best way to do it, because again, it hits your mouth. When the cayenne pepper hits your tongue, it immediately starts increasing your circulation. You bypass that when you take it as a capsule. So there is some type of magic that happens when you consume cayenne pepper as a tea and you move it around your mouth. You'll notice that if the cayenne is good quality, as you move it throughout your mouth, you start to feel the circulation increase as it's in your mouth. You haven't even swallowed it. Ugh, I can't speak. You haven't even swallowed it yet, and you're already starting to feel the effects. So that's what cayenne pepper does. Just to dovetail this in before we continue, it increases circulation. It moves things in your system. It removes blockages. It increases blood flow. And we all know that a lack of circulation causes huge problems here. And people's circulation, after eating year after year of standard American garbage bullshit foods that the system provides them, their circulation is sluggish. It's not working as efficiently as it should. Their hearts have been kind of stressed out and exhausted, so to speak, from eating all the junk foods. Most people's diets here in the West are absolute garbage. So let's be honest here, ladies and gentlemen. The statistics on health here in the United States are deplorable. I'm not going to get into that. All I'm going to say here is that cayenne pepper can be kind of a godsend after years of eating junk food and growing up in a matrix where the food is filled full of bullshit, because it can help increase circulation. Increased circulation means that the blood, the river of life, can move through your system quicker. And there's so many different benefits from having, your blood move through your system efficiently. But it also, ladies and gentlemen, cayenne pepper is a strengthener of the heart. If you read Dr. John Christopher's book, I believe it's called Capsaicin, you'll come to realize this. If you read Dick Quinn's book, Left for Dead, you'll come to realize this. But aside from all that, cayenne pepper should be consumed as a tea. I don't recommend taking it in capsules ever unless it's mixed with other herbs in the right ratios, because again, cayenne pepper, when it hits the mouth, it kind of pre-instructs the system on how to handle it once it gets down into your stomach. And it's not uncommon for people to start feeling, again, the effects of cayenne the minute it hits their tongue. So with that aside, I'm going to say that what I do currently is I take 90,000 heat unit cayenne pepper from Frontier Herbs. I take 1/4 of a teaspoon of it. I set that aside. I bring water to a boil, about 2 cups, maybe a little less, but just about 2 cups. I bring it to a boil. Once it boils, I turn it off. I let it cool for about 3 minutes, and then I take 1 cup of the boiled water and I dump it over my 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. and I stir it around, I swish it around, and I let it sit until it reaches room temperature. And then once it reaches room temperature, I'll throw it in the refrigerator and keep it in there until it's cold. And then with that 1 cup of cayenne potion that I've just made, I'll divide it into 2 doses. So I'll have one day, and then I'll have the other the next day. It's that simple. If I need more, if I'm going to do, for instance, like a 7-day cayenne pepper cleanse, I'll make enough for about 7 days and keep it in the refrigerator. So for instance, if I wanted to make 4 days worth of cayenne pepper shots, I would take about a half a teaspoon to sometimes a full teaspoon, depending on, give or take, on how much I want. Depending on, cayenne pepper, I can consume massive amounts of it without it hurting my stomach because I eat so many peppers, and I have a huge tolerance towards heat. I consume things like Trinidad scorpions, Scotch bonnets, Carolina reapers, chocolate habaneros, peach habaneros, homegrown. All of this stuff is homegrown too, and the homegrown peppers are like 10,000-fold or times hotter than the store-bought peppers. But I consume Naga vipers, Thai dragons, again, the habaneros, the Fatali peppers, the Trinidad scorpions, which are some of the hottest. I can consume a teaspoon or more at a time in a potion of 90,000 heat unit cayenne pepper. My body can handle it. Most people can't do that until they really work themselves up a tolerance. But at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, I don't take the large doses of cayenne that I used to. I don't feel like I need to. So I just take 1/4 of a teaspoon for a cup of water, and that cup of water is 2 doses. So for instance, if I wanted to make 4 servings for 4 days of cayenne shots, I would take a half a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more, sometimes a full teaspoon. And, I'd bring my water to a boil. I would take 2 cups of water and put it over the half teaspoon of cayenne pepper or whatever, let's just say for the sake of this video and to keep things simple, we'll use a half a teaspoon. So for me personally, and I should have just shown you guys on video, like how I make it with the measuring spoons and whatnot to keep things simple. This is already an 8-minute video, and I'm just me bantering about how I take cayenne, but I'm going to post it regardless. I'll show you guys in the future exactly how I do it, but it's pretty simple. You take 1 cup of water, you boil it, you let it cool for about 3 minutes. Once it boils, you take 1/4 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper and you let it steep until it reaches room temperature. You put it in the fridge and then take it as shots. When you throw it back, swish it in your mouth. And if you've never done this before, if you're just getting into cayenne pepper and you've never consumed it before, what I would recommend doing is use the same 1 cup of water method, but go to your store, and instead of buying the hot cayenne pepper that I have, for instance, in my Amazon store, just go to your typical supermarket and buy a little spice jar of organic cayenne pepper. Usually that stuff really isn't very hot. It's about 20,000 heat units or less. But don't take my word for it, because sometimes you will find hotter cayenne in there. But usually the stuff at typical supermarkets isn't really hot unless it specifies that. And I would take 1/8 of a teaspoon instead of 1/4 of a teaspoon, just 1/8 of a teaspoon, a really small amount. And I would just pour my 1 cup of hot water over it, let it steep, and then consume it in little amounts after you've eaten. You always want to take cayenne pepper if you're not if you're not advanced at this like I am. You want to take a small amount of cayenne and consume it as a tea after you've eaten a significant amount of food. It's that simple. So I hope that clarifies things, ladies and gentlemen. Start off slow if you've never done this before, and just to kind of say again how I currently take it, I take 1/4 of a teaspoon, I put that into a cup of water, and then I consume a half of the cup each day. So I've been using cayenne pepper again lately. I never really have stopped. I love cayenne. I think it's one of the greatest herbs that we have access to for the conditions that we're currently facing with, the massive amounts of heart disease, circulation problems, ladies and gentlemen. Cayenne pepper is really good for blood cleansing. You can mix it with things like hawthorn berries to really help create a heart strengthener. You can mix it with black seed oil. And what I often like to do is I'll take the juice of half of a lemon and squeeze it into my dose of cayenne pepper. So I'll put about a whole lemon in the 1 cup of cayenne that I just told you I make. half a cup per shot. You can even throw ginger in there. You can throw gotu kola in there. There's so many different herbs that pair really well with cayenne pepper. You're going to get more out of herbs, specific herbs, if you take it with cayenne. So to wrap things up, if you've never done this before, take a cup of water, warm it up, put 1/8 of a teaspoon of typical store-bought organic cayenne pepper in with the water, mix it, and then take a half cup of that and just lightly sip on it after you've eaten a meal. If you don't eat a meal and you do this and you're not used to heat, it'll make your stomach burn, even at that small amount. You've got to work your way up the kind of the ladder of cayenne pepper, so to speak. You've got to build a tolerance to heat, and you will. The more you eat hot foods, the more you'll be able to tolerate. I remember when I used to not even be able to put a little bit of Tabasco in my mouth without freaking out. I could literally drink an entire thing of Tabasco. Not that I've ever done this, but I could. I could drink an entire thing of Tabasco in one sitting, and it wouldn't even affect me. There's no heat in that anymore. It's because I've been consuming the homegrown Trinidad scorpions, the Naga vipers, the Thai dragons, the really, really hot peppers that are much hotter than cayenne. But I hope that wraps it up. Cayenne pepper is an amazing substance. I've been using it for years. I've put a lot of my clients on it, and they've had great results with it. It's a stimulant. It increases blood flow. Because it increases blood flow, it increases energy in many people. You're going to feel better. Your skin's going to glow. Cayenne pepper is an amazing substance. Peace be with you all.